Welcome to Pro Kitchen University, an online video tutorial series version 11. This video is part of the Mac Native Interface series for Mac users only. In this video, we are going to explore Countertop Designer. We will locate and access Countertop Designer, identify each of the countertop control panel tools, identify and utilize tools within each tab, manipulate and edit created countertops in the plan view, and view the 3D rendering of countertops created within Countertop Designer. Countertops are an important element for creating polished designs and providing your customers an accurate representation of their final product. There are two means in which you can apply and edit countertops within Pro Kitchen software. The first is to utilize the countertop tools on plan in the design space, which is covered in a separate video. The second is to utilize the Countertop Designer tool within the software. This will provide you the opportunity to add even more countertop elements to the design and allow you to send the countertop dimensions and design elements to either your CNC machine or to a fabricator. It is important to set the countertop parameters and texture in your design before you begin drafting your room in the design settings. Design settings can be located either in the Settings drop-down menu or on the top toolbar. After entering the design name and customer information, left-click the Construction tab to open a menu below. Then, left-click the Countertop tab. Here, you may adjust the countertop overhang and thickness and the backsplash height and depth to your required specifications. To set the countertop and backsplash textures, left-click the Textures tab. Then, left-click Select to the right of each and navigate the Textures catalog to locate and select your desired texture. Once all the design settings have been created, left-click OK and begin drafting your design. After you have placed all the cabinetry, you will want to add the countertops to the design. You may do this with the Add All Countertops icon to add countertops to all the base cabinetry, or with the Countertop Designer tool. For this video, we are going to add the countertops with the Countertop Designer tool. There are two ways in which you can access the Countertop Designer, either by right-clicking on an existing countertop, hovering into the toolbox and selecting Designer at the bottom of the toolbox menu, or by navigating to the Countertop Designer icon on the left toolbar about halfway down. The icon appears as a red pencil over a rectangle of countertop. By left-clicking on this icon, you will launch the Countertop Designer dialog box. In this dialog box, you will notice a top control panel, a series of tabs for each of the Countertop Designer tools, a left panel which will be used for editing and adjusting the added countertop elements, and a larger panel containing the grid space to represent your design space. On the top control panel, there is an icon for beginning a new countertop design, an X, which is currently grayed out, which will delete selected countertops or countertop elements, 3 magnifying glass icons, zoom to fit, zoom in, and zoom out, an arrow icon called Select, which will return you to mouse mode when selected, and a floppy disk icon, used to save the countertop design and close the Countertop Designer. Let's explore each of the Countertop Designer tabs and how to utilize each of the tools within. We will start with the Shapes tab, which is the first tab on the left. In this tab, we will find an Auto-Generate button. When you left-click to select this tool, it will auto-generate countertop surfaces to all of the base cabinetry in your design, and it will populate the countertop shapes onto the grid in the right-hand panel. Or you may utilize any of the additional shape options in this tab to add countertops section by section. For this demonstration, we will maintain the countertops that we auto-generated and add an L-shaped section of countertop to the outside edge of the island in order to create an elevated bar top. Left-click the desired shape once and move the mouse into the grid space. The shape will be attached to the mouse and the default orientation. To alter the orientation of the shape, right-click the mouse, or if you move the mouse adjacent to an existing section of countertop, the shape will auto-rotate and snap to a location marked with a green dot. To place the shape, left-click. Once placed, the section will be outlined in red and will be yellow in color. This denotes that this section of countertop has been selected and now activates the dimension fields so that they may be altered in size in the panel to the left. In this panel, you will see that you can give this section of countertop an SKU by left-clicking and then typing in the SKU field. To alter the width and depth parameters of this shape, highlight the current text and type the required dimension. Then tap the Tab key on the keyboard to jump to the next dimension field, or utilize the arrows at the right end of each dimension field. The inner arrows will create 1-inch increment adjustments, and the outer arrows fractional adjustments. Once the dimensional changes have been made, you may need to readjust where the altered section of the countertop sits in the design. To do this, left-click and hold the portion of countertop and move it into place. Then release the mouse to secure. To select a different section of countertop to alter, either left-click on the desired portion of countertop, or in the panel to the left and the box at the top, left-click any of the listed countertops, which will highlight the corresponding countertop in the design. To delete a section of countertop, left-click the section of countertop you wish to remove, then either left-click the delete icon at the top of the window, or hold the Function key and tap the Delete key on your keyboard. After creating the countertop layout, the additional tabs will provide you with a multitude of countertop elements to add to the design, to render in 3D, and to send either to your CNC machine or to your fabricator for creation. The next tab is Corners. In here are corner elements for the countertops, allowing you to create outer or inner corner shapes to the countertops, including radius corners, beveled corners, angled clips, or rectangular clip corners. Once a corner shape is selected, the left panel will activate and allow you to adjust the corner radius for curved corners, delta points for beveled and angled clips, or width and depth for rectangular corner clips before placing into your design. Again, either by highlighting the current measurement and typing in the required value, or by utilizing the arrows to the right. To place any of these corner clips, move the mouse into the design that has the clip corner attached and zoom in with the roller ball on your mouse. When hovering the mouse over the desired corner, a red outline of the new corner will appear. Left-click to apply the clip corner to the countertop. Continue to place all required corner clips before moving on to the next countertop element. When finished, tap the Escape key on the keyboard, or left-click the Select icon at the top of the window to release the tool. Each newly added clip will appear in the box at the top of the panel to the left. You may select a corner to delete or edit by either clicking on the corner in the list, or on the corner of countertop where it was placed. The selected clip corner will again outline in red, and the current measurement value will appear on the left. After adding and editing all the corners to your specifications, navigate the mouse to the Segments tab to open the Segment tools. Here you will see 5 different shapes, each of which can be added to either the interior or the exterior of the countertops. Locate the shape you wish to add to the design. Left-click to select and move the mouse into the design space. The mouse is again a crosshair, which will then move to the edge of the countertop you wish to place this new segment. A red line will appear to give you a preview of this new segment on the countertop. You may, before placing this segment, adjust the width and depth in the panel to the left, or you may left-click to place the segment, then adjust the width, depth, and offset parameters at the same time. The green dot that will now appear on the design indicates the location of the shape that will be affected by the offset distance entered in the panel to the left. Modify the width and depth values as necessary, then adjust the offset parameters. By default, the segment will place offset 0 inches from the center of the selected placement edge. To change the offset, left-click either the left or right button, then enter the offset distance below. The next tab is Cutouts if cutouts are needed for your design. There are 3 different shapes for you to choose from: rectangle, ellipse, and round. As before, once you select one of these options, the left panel will become activated, in which you'll be able to alter the shape's dimensions before placing onto the countertop, or you may wait until after you have placed a cutout shape to modify its dimensions and its placement location. With the cutouts, notice when hovering over the countertop that a green dot will appear on the countertop. The green dot denotes the front of the cutout. This is important to take note of because once you left-click to secure the cutout, the front of the object will be what moves in relation to the offset in measurement. As we did for the previous elements, type and tab through the fields to adjust the dimensions of the cutout. Then select the side for offset placement, this time selecting Center Offset by left-clicking in the Offset to Center box to place a checkmark. Then adjust left, right, or center offset measurements, then the offset end dimension, taking into account the countertop overhang parameters entered into your design settings. The design used for this demonstration does not call for a cutout, so I will need to delete this placed opening. The next tab is Edge Profiles. This tab is where you are able to bring a certain polish to the design and communicate to your CNC machine or fabricator that there are going to be special finished edges to the countertops. Not only will the countertop designer be able to communicate this, but also the chosen profiles will render in your 3D Edge viewer and provide the most accurate representation of the completed project. The variety of edge profiles provided within CTOP Designer are the most commonly used countertop edges. To apply the profile to the edge of a countertop, left-click the desired profile. Move the mouse into the design and over the desired edge. A green dot will appear at both ends of the selected edge, which will indicate the length at which this profile will apply. Then left-click to place. Once secured, the line denoting the edge with the profile will now appear green in color. If you need to remove an edge profile, left-click again on the green line. Note that any special corners will need to have the new edge profile placed on them individually. If you zoom in on and hover the mouse over the corner, you will see 2 dots appear at either end of the corner, then left-click to apply. On edges with special shapes, you may apply the edge profile to the entire length of the edge and shape by clicking anywhere on the straight line between the corners. The next tab is the Materials tab. Here is where you can add the material texture to the countertops in the CTOP Designer and to the Countertop Report. This will also allow you to create a multi-textural design that will render correctly in 3D. When you left-click on the Add Material button, a small dialog box will appear in which you can add the material name. After you have finished typing, left-click the OK button. Then, below in the left panel is where you can begin to add the information about the countertop material to the report. Navigate to the panel and add a description of the material. If you desire to add an image of the material texture, you can left-click the Select button to launch the Textures catalog and search for the texture within the dialog box. In order to pull in a texture that's not in the Textures catalog, left-click the Import button. This will launch the Image Collections dialog box, in which you may create a texture with a PNG or JPEG file from your computer, or select any previously created textures from within the image collection. After an image has been selected, you may choose to enter the cost per unit of measure, adjust the countertop thickness, and change the unit of measurement by left-clicking the drop-down and selecting the appropriate unit of measure with a left click. Once all the information for this material has been added, left-click Apply. Now that a texture has been added to the CTOP Designer, Hover the mouse over the section of countertop you wish to be made from this material and left-click. The newly added texture will then appear on the design and will be added to the Countertop Report. It will also render correctly in your 3D Edge viewer. If you are sending this to a CNC machine for in-house fabrication, you will want to add the CNC radius points for integration. When selecting the CNC Radius tab, the design will refresh and will display the suggested CNC radius points. To add a radius point manually, left-click the Add CNC Radius button, then bring the mouse into the design space, hover over one of the gray points in the design, and left-click. This point will then turn a light green to indicate the radius has been added. In order to add all of the suggested radius points, left-click the Add to All button. However, since I will not be sending this design to a CNC machine for integration, I will need to remove all the points from the report. To do this, I will left-click the Delete All button. If for any reason you will need to add a European miter, you will do so in the European Miter tab. Next up is the Backsplash tab. If you will be sending backsplash to the CNC machine or off to a fabricator, you will want to add your backsplash via the CTOP Designer instead of the one-click Add All Backsplash icon within the On-Plan tools in the design. To add backsplash here, left-click the Add Backsplash button and navigate the mouse into the grid space in the location in which you would like it to appear, and then left-click to apply. Again, you may adjust the depth, width, and height parameters before or after placing. If you choose to alter the dimensions of the backsplash after placement, you will also be able to adjust the left or right placement with the green dot at one end or the other denoting where the offset will be measured from. Continue placing backsplash until all portions are in place. Note, you may also apply the material to the backsplash portions for the report and for 3D rendering. Navigate back to the Materials tab. Now, any previously added material textures will apply as buttons at the top of the page. Left-click the desired material button and left-click on the appropriate backsplash to apply. You may also add sinks and appliances to the design from within the CTOP Designer. The sinks and appliances will place in a similar fashion when you left-click on either the sink or the appliance button. The dialog box with the corresponding catalog will open and is ready for you to navigate and to locate the desired item. Once the item has been located and it is highlighted in blue, left-click the Place button at the bottom right corner of the dialog box. The dialog box will then disappear and the mouse will now be a crosshair with the red outline of the item attached. When you hover the mouse over the countertop, the item will rotate to fit appropriately and auto-snap to specific points on the countertop. Take note of where the green dot appears on the edge of the countertop, as it will inform you of where the front of the object will be facing. Once you left-click to secure the item on the countertop, you will be able to adjust the dimensions of the object, although if you are utilizing a manufacturer-specific item, any dimensional changes here will be for visual purposes alone. You will also again be able to adjust the left, right, or center offset and offset in dimensions as demonstrated in the cutout section earlier in this video. If you are fabricating countertops in-house, you will want to ensure that you are able to create a bill of materials that reflects the cost of all the added items. You will do this in the Default Price tab. Here, you will be able to enter a price for each added countertop element by left-clicking on the element to highlight it in blue. Then, in the left panel, type the appropriate cost for each of the elements and select the unit of measure for each edge profile within the drop-down menu. Once you have added or edited cost for each of the elements, left-click the Apply to Current button at the top. This will add the cost of the elements in the design to the bill of materials. These will then apply to every CTOP Designer countertop design moving forward, but can still be adjusted and saved at any time. The next tab will provide you the opportunity to view and edit the bill of materials report for this countertop design. To adjust any of the costs or units of measurement, left-click to highlight the element in blue, then navigate to the left panel and adjust either of the pricing parameters. The next tab is extremely important. Without it, anything done within the Countertop Designer will not apply to the design on plan and will not render in 3D Edge Viewer. In the Place on Design tab, you will see that the Place All button is the only button that is activated. When you left-click this, you will place all the countertops and added elements into the design. If you left-click on a section of countertop in the grid space, you will see the selected countertop will become highlighted in yellow. And to the left, in the top box, the selected countertop and all the added elements will be highlighted in blue. The two additional buttons, Place and Manual Position, will also become activated. Place will allow you to move the selected countertop within the CTOP Designer grid and place only the selected countertop into your design. Manually Position will temporarily close the CTOP Designer window and allow you to freely place the countertop section in the plan view of your design. The final tab in CTOP Designer is the Report tab. Here is where you can print the report to a PDF, send the countertop design to CNC integration, preview the report, print the report. With template, you can choose between landscape or portrait view, and refresh the report for any changes that may have been made. To scale the image of the report, left-click on the image to highlight it in yellow, and then use the roller ball on the mouse to scale larger or smaller. You also may edit any of the text fields by left-clicking in the field on the report, then adjust the text in the panel to the left. Left-click Apply to save the adjusted text. When left-clicking on the edge profile image, you may change the name of the edge profile, and you can choose to turn on or off the image of the profile by left-clicking the box to the right of the Show Graphics. After you've completed the entire countertop design with all the added elements, navigate to the top of the window and left-click the Save and Close icon to close the Countertop Designer and apply all of these changes to your design. Once you're back in the design, you may continue to make placement changes with the movement features and right-click tools, or make additional edits by right-clicking on a section of countertop and selecting Edit from the toolbox. This will activate the Edit tool and additional right-click edit tools for the edges and corner points of the selected countertop. These features and tools are covered in depth in the Countertops video tutorial. Once you've completed designing the countertops and finalizing edits on plan, add the final components of your design. Then go ahead and view the 3D rendering from your 3D Edge viewer to see the amazing final result. As you can see, Countertop Designer truly does allow you to create a stunning 3D rendering and bring the final outcome of the design to life. Thank you for visiting Pro Kitchen University. Be sure to visit us at prokitchensoftware.com.